Hey guys, welcome to Lost Under Review, your resident anti-professionals at your service. I am Dave.
And I'm Marcus.
And we have a review for you of Mrs. Peregrine's Hogwarts University.
No.
I'm sorry. I mean, Mrs. Peregrine's Xavier Institute for Mutants.
No.
No?
No.
Oh, crap. What was it then? I'm sorry. Mrs. Peregrine's Home for Imaginary Children.
No. It's Mrs. Peregrine's Home for weird ass kids is what it is.
Okay.
I hate that word peculiar. I hate it. Just put that on record. Hate that word. Okay.
Notes.
Now, let's talk about what we saw in this movie because, dear Lord, I know I wasted my time. I think I wasted his time.
Spoilers. You don't have to watch the rest of it. We know his opinion.
Yeah, just know. And don't get me wrong. It's not that I hate it because you get the same basic weird-ass concept that you would expect from Tim Burton or whatever. Yeah. It's just that we felt that it was poorly written. I mean, certain elements were rushed, and it didn't make sense for character development. There was literally no room for it.
What doesn't make sense, though, is a movie that feels rushed went into development in 2011. They had 5 years to do this.
They had plenty of time to work on this.
This shit is rushed.
Yeah, and it's saying something considering it's a movie about time travel. Spoiler alert, lots of that shit in there.
I wish I could go back in time and tell Tim Burton, you know you should do a better job with this.
Just do this. I would have rather you see another Edward Scissorhands than come up with this. Like Edward Scissorcock or something. Yeah. I'd have paid good money to see him cut down hedges with his dick. That'd have been great.
Google search just blew up with Edward Scissorcock.
I know.
Is that a thing?
Is it a thing? Yes. Okay. Let's get to the movie, though. Now, here's one of the things that I hated. And this is just something simple. Lil Asa Butterfield decided, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna be in this movie and I'm gonna emote the best I can. And it was acting at its purest. Because he was just so bland. Just like no emotion. And it just shows up and it's like he just doesn't care what's happening.
The ace of base. Movie actors. Oh, you're here.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like something that a normal person would kind of have a reaction to. He's just like, oh no. He's Tina. He's Tina from Bob's Burgers. At least she was entertaining. He's just like,
I know. Every time something kept happening to him, he react, oh, wow.
Oh,
what the hell?
I went back in time?
Oh.
Okay.
No, you should not do stuff like this.
I went back in time. Oh, yeah, I have a cell phone. Oh, look, let's take a selfie. That was dumb.
It's just so many things that didn't make sense in this movie. Like, when they were talking about when they rushed things, basically, you have this character, Asa Butterfield's character, whatever his name is, he actually finally meets the kids, the weird-ass kids I was talking about earlier, and there's a girl, the blonde girl, the one that floats or whatever. I just don't remember any of their names because I didn't care about this movie. Yeah. Just know that's going to be a running thing. I want to just try to describe the characters as best I can.
All the people have actually read the books and the comments are like, they're fucking nameless.
Yeah, for those people who actually did enjoy the books, I do apologize for not saying the names. Yeah. But I'm sorry. You do not, even if you read the books, do not watch this movie. No. Because even for a little bit I've heard about the book, the movie does the book a disservice. Yeah. I mean, you've got this character, he's introduced to them, and you get the gist that the girl's going to be his love interest, and her reasoning for that, well, he reminded me of your grandfather. And I'm like, wait, what?
Why?
And the way they act around each other, that kind of awkward dodging to where the two characters are awkwardly just getting to know each other and getting closer. Yeah. This happens over the period of less than 2 days, so it makes no sense why this stuff is happening. No. You've known these people for 2 days, and already your attitude is like, you gonna be my girl. And I'm like, no. All right. No, that's not how that works.
In his defense, though, he started having that feelings when she was floating above him and she's wearing that dress and he saw those 1940s underwear. He was like, ooh, all right, you know what, you might want to slip off those iron boots.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they jump down in the water temple and she's in her 1940s underwear. And
yeah.
basically today it would be like, are you just going out later?
Yeah.
She looked like she was getting dressed for the club, but that was her 1940s underwear.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, whatever. I mean, for Tim Burton, I'm surprised at this. Like, I guess everybody has a misstep at some point, but it's like Tim Burton always makes peculiar movies.
The only difference now, he just hit the nail on it a little bit more. He's a little more on the nose on this one.
Yeah, like friggin' Beetlejuice and Big Fish and Batman. I mean, Batman was kind of peculiar a little bit.
Yeah, but peculiar in a way the comic book movie would be.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Friggin' Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I mean, yeah, I feel like if he would have gotten Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter, this movie would have at least had somebody who seemed like they gave a shit.
Yeah, nobody here really seemed like they cared. I mean, you got Terrence Stamp, who pretty much phones it in.
Yeah.
Judi Dench was there, was literally just
there. They just like stand in the corner and let the door almost hit you. You just stand there, it's okay.
And they also had not Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah.
Pretty much phoning in her performance as Mrs. Peregrine. Peregrine. I'm sorry, whatever. Point is, it's just bad. Yeah. Everything just feels so lazily done.
Yeah.
And it's all the same tropes that you've seen over and over in these kind of films. You see those two kids, you know they're going to get together. You already see there was a rival character. Oh, they're going to have respect. Knuckles before this movie is over. They're going to be good. Right. And then, of course, any of the weirdness that happens, the character's supposed to grow from it. That's how it's supposed to work. My problem is, again, this has something to do with the pacing. It was going way too fast. I mean, this kid is like this whole fish on the water character. I'm with all these weird-ass kids in this situation where I'm stuck in 1943, and he's like, I don't know if I can do this or not. But all of a sudden, they get into a situation where one of the bad guys shows up, and he's like, I've got a plan. And when did this start? Is your inner lion just coming out of nowhere? Just because, oh no, it's all good. I got a crossbow. I'm ready.
I know. I love the, not only were the main actors not seeming like they gave a shit about anything that was happening, the extras in the background didn't seem like they gave a shit what was happening.
No.
Especially the scene, I couldn't stop laughing. There's a scene, one of the girls apparently is full of air and she floats and she has to wear the Link iron boots at all times to get into the water temple. And so he has her on a rope and he's just walking down the street like he's just got his favorite balloon with him.
Yeah.
And no one's like, oh my god, what is that? Nobody's taking pictures. It's like,
no
whatever.
one's the wiser.
Fuck it. Like, it's not like they can't see this happening. They clearly can see it. They can be reacted to it. Like, he's pushing people out of the way and they're just like, oh, what I say? You're pushing me. Like, carry your balloon somewhere else, boy. Hey, what the fuck? And then she just gets hung up on a wire, and it's just like no one gives a shit. They're just like, she's gonna die. Whatever.
Yeah, she's not gonna make it. We'll just go back to our happy house music and our fair.
It felt like that entire scene felt like a cutscene from a video game. But
it
to
did.
The music and the CG. Nope, it felt like a cutscene in a movie. I was waiting for like it to just switch over and let me finally do something.
And you see the Slender Man coming around, the tentacles and whatnot, and then everyone, even when they're revealed, which is the stupidest thing, I think it was by like ice cream and sprinkles or some shit.
Nah.
No one bats an eye.
It was like, oh, look at that big ass motherfucker. Well, you want to get a gelato or something? They look good with it on them, so let's do it.
So I'm changing the title officially to this movie. Instead of this Mrs. Peregrine's like Home for Peculiar Children, it should be Tim Burton's Home for Peculiar Ass Movie. Because that's what this was. Even when they were in their own world, things didn't make sense. No. And you know what also doesn't make sense? Time travel.
Nope.
Not that I have a problem with time travel. I've seen movies do time travel really well. This is not one of them. So, the grandfather dies, which is what gets Asa Butterfield's character into action. Because it's like his father, who gives him some very specific instructions as he's dying. And that makes no sense. That's what gets the ball rolling. He goes out to, where was it, Wales?
Yeah.
To find the loop and find the home. And here's the problem. There's a section in the movie where it talks about, well, if you take care of this situation and you kill that bad guy or whatever, then he doesn't kill your grandfather. and then he lives. That means he's going to be alive when you talk to him. But here's my question. If that happens, if he doesn't die, then wouldn't that be a whole chain reaction to the point to where, like, Asa Butterfield's character never leaves Florida to go to Wales, and none of this stuff ever happens? I guess it's not really explained very well.
They don't explain their own rules at all. Like, time travel movies, in my opinion, no matter what, Back to the Future, which is one of my favorite movies, everybody loves it, quintessential time travel movie, had to set up its own rules, even though at times it breaks its own rules and still makes absolutely no sense. Yeah. This movie doesn't even attempt to set up rules. It doesn't tell you anything about what's happening, about how this world works. It's just like, this happened. You watch it and you have to accept it. Like, oh. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
And then the events are coming at you like 90 miles an hour, forcing you to try and like these characters. I hate it when a script literally tries to force you to like a character. And they did that. It's like, oh my goodness, this little cow has been frozen. Have sympathy for her.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know anything about her. I don't even remember her name. The only thing I remember is that she's a redhead that can set things on fire by touching them, which, by the way, that's not how pyrokinesis works. But again,
whatever.
I'm not going to get on that. The point is, they don't make you feel sympathy for any of these characters when anything happens to them. You don't care if they succeed. You don't care if they fail. You don't care if they get injured. You don't care because they don't give you enough time to care about them.
And apparently, I hate this, that even the actors make you seem like they don't even care what's happening.
No.
It's just like, oh, I'm frozen. Oh, this guy likes me and he's telling me so, but it doesn't seem very believable, or like he actually believes in himself. It's just like, I felt like it was a way for him to just like, he's not even crying over her. He's just like, oh, I never told you how I actually feel. And it's like, it felt like he was lying just to get her to wake up, just out of guilt. It was just like, I feel bad. Please wake up.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
There's just so many things about this didn't make sense. Like, why is it that they had these two little kids? I think were they both girls? I don't know what they were. They were, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they were. The point is, it was bad because here's the thing. We have this power to where we can just look at people and turn them into stone. Apparently, they're like weird Medusa twins or something crazy like that. Because you always wonder, you look at those kids and say, whoa, I wonder what their peculiarity is.
I thought it was just that they just like to dress creepy as shit.
Yeah.
Like The Exorcist, but whatever.
That's what I thought.
Or not The Exorcist, I'm sorry. Fucking shit. Yeah. Gotta get my own movie references around here. I'm a great reviewer, guys.
Yes. And it was so bad. Because it's like, you could have done that when Samuel Jackson's character, who, by the way, was awesome in this movie.
The best part of this movie.
He was the best. He had quick little one-liners. He had a moment that was almost like Deep Blue Sea. I was counting on that because I was like, man, you remember Deep Blue Sea when it was all like, he says, first, we've got to, oh, God, shark. And I was like, that is the best. Yes, that is the best. He was giving a speech and everything was set up. He was sitting there. He was sitting there talking to him, and then I thought something was going to happen. I was going to be like, shark attack, shark attack. One of them transforms into a shark. Oh, that's my peculiarity. I turn into a shark, and I go specifically out to Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes, you do.
I would have paid twice the money I paid for that ticket to see that one scene.
Oh, Tim Burton, please put that in your movie. Oh my God, extended cut, just
right, and have him give a speech to like the other bad guys or whatever. Then all of a sudden, and Vanessa's sad when his character is unintentionally, grotesquely comical, because you get the gist. He's meant to be funny on some level. Like, he's a villain with a sense of humor. So every now and then he has a quip like, oh, you got bad breath, or whatever the case is. But he was more unintentionally funny. Yeah, if anything that was worth seeing was just watching him. We could just get a YouTube clip of his best moments. You know what I'm saying?
Great.
Somebody work on that. That'll be everything you need to see for the whole movie. Forget the story, because the story,
who cares?
It lacks some coherence. It just lacks things coming together the way it should. Yeah. And then everything else, it starts off so slow. I mean, maybe the books are a little bit more exciting because it's building tension, but the problem here is it builds up to nothing. There is no tension, there's no concern, there's no care, there's no trauma, there's no... there's a little bit of action, and then there's the weird stuff, but nothing. It doesn't build up to anything.
Yeah. I mean, nothing at all. It's just, it happened, and it's just, we're just sitting there, it's like, okay, what's happening now? I want to know, the entire movie, timestamps in a movie sometimes can be good and sometimes bad. This movie could have really used it, because I had no idea when or where they were most of that movie.
Yeah.
And then, I love how, but on the other end, they went too far with the character names. They, like one character just busts into the main character. I think his name is like Jake or something. They bust into his room and she's like, "It's Aunt Carol." It's like, is this a fucking sitcom or something? Nobody enters somebody's room and is like, "I'm Dave." Like, what?
That's what I'm saying. Nobody says that. I love it when I can pick out a line that nobody says ever. And this movie had a couple of them like that, but things just didn't work. Because, they brought up the boats, because they were like, well, we gotta travel by boat to get to the bad guys. And remember that boat scene that we saw with the little girl underneath there? Well, here's the thing. They go back underwater. They bring the whole boat up, and they start sailing on it. Two things wrong with this, okay? One, the boat sunk for a reason.
Yep. I was thinking that whole time.
Did they fix that, hole in the boat before breathing air into it and miraculously bringing it out of the water? Secondly, that's not how air works, okay?
It just blow into the ocean.
Also, and they're starting up furnaces, because it's an old school boat and it has furnaces, to power it up or whatever. This girl's sitting there just touching the edges of the furnace as she's walking by the fire girl we're talking about. And I'm like, that's not how that works. That's not how that works.
Yeah.
Because, seriously, one, fuel. They didn't have any in there. You have to have something to burn. Secondly, you can't just touch the outside of a furnace. I don't care if you have fire powers and just start it up. That's some bullshit. It's like, no, that is not how that works. I mean, I know that's nitpicking, but it's so stupid. You took a giant-ass boat just to go catch the bad guys, and by that time where you were raising the boat and sailing out there to this location, for starters, was it ever even explained that Asa Butterfield's character even knew how to pilot that thing?
That was what I was thinking. It was like, who is driving this damn boat? Because not one of them looked like they knew what they were doing. Two were even in the control room at all. They were, all of them were in one room together. Exactly. And then, so who the fuck was driving that boat?
And on top of that, you've got all of these people just running around, so apparently all we needed is just some gumption and a map. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to navigate while you're out on sea. You're trying to tell me they figured it out by looking at that chinky map?
And these fucking kids, I swear, they parallel parked this boat at the dock. One, I don't think any of them knew how to drive a car, so parallel parking's out of the question. Two, I've played Assassin's Creed 4, and I can't dock those boats for nothing. And that's with a controller. I end up just running into the dock, and then it does it for me.
And it just give you instructions on how to do it. And you can still fuck this up.
But no, they're
best
just
believe they will do
perfectly. Hey, look, there's a spot. Let's go right into it.
It's just right there. Let's all just get off the boat and do our things. I mean,
no.
And don't get me wrong, the weirdness factor I get with the characters. My attitude was, I was going to watch this movie in hopes to enjoy something from it.
Yeah.
And maybe be interested in reading the books. In this instance, it kind of worked retroactively. It's like, I don't really care that much about the books. This movie didn't make me care about it more. All I know for a fact is, I'm sure if I read the books, I probably would have enjoyed it more, but I hear it's weirder. Still, maybe I'll look into it. But the point is this. If you read the books, and then you watch the movie, you're like, oh, something is rotten in Denmark. This doesn't add up. Why is there a boat there? You only knew her for 2 days. Why are you touching the furnace and it's setting on fire? Why is she floating and no one is looking at her? That makes no sense.
Well, it's Tuesday. There's another floating girl. Let's go get a cheeseburger.
That's right. They're like hanging out, just chilling. Well, this guy's got a girl on a rope and she's floating and she gets caught up in a train or whatever. And it's like, Ruby Tuesdays. Yeah. That's a good idea. And floating girl, Slender Man.
Yeah, they're plowing. These big slender men are plowing through this big group of people, throwing them left and right. Still, no one cares.
Exactly.
Still, no one cares.
And so many things just didn't make sense. I mean, you got Samuel Jackson's character, who's supposed to be the main bad guy of them, the Hollows or whatever they call them. Slender Man. I don't care what you say. They're Slender Men. Anyway, he's pretty much commanding all these guys. Apparently, he said it was only 4. When I saw a lot more than that, that's how they fought, so that didn't make any sense. Secondly, towards the end, you see Samuel L. Jackson pretending to be Ace Butterfield's character to fool the other kids. He's like, it's me. Don't believe him. It's me. No, I'm the real one. No, I'm the real one. You've heard that gag.
Yeah, it was normal.
But one of the Slendermen shows up, one that apparently wasn't talked about before. Maybe he had something to take care of. Maybe he just came back he's doing a walk of shame from the night earlier. Maybe just came from a bender. Who cares? Point is, he just shows the hell up and kills him. Why? I thought that was your boss.
Yeah, right? Shouldn't he know? He's just like, oh, you have, like, because his boss had white eyes. It was like, and he wants to eat eyes so he can become human again. And he's like, oh, you have white eyes. Okay, I'll put you down. No, he's like, fuck you. I'm eating the shit out of you. No. Why? Who are you?
It doesn't make sense.
Especially after he turned back. It's like, oh, sorry, bro. I didn't mean it.
Oh, herp-a-derp.
Nope, screw it. I'll eat you anyway. Okay.
And
well, what was to stop him from doing that, like, earlier?
Yeah, it's just so many things. It's
Slender Ex Machina.
It's just so incoherent. It's just a clusterfuck of events.
Yeah.
That's what this movie should have been called. It's like Tim Burton's clusterfuck of events. Because that's what this was. The kid runs off from his dad. He's going to have to explain to his wife, well, we went to Wales and I only came back. I'm sorry, we lost our kid. Herp-a-derp. And I'm like, really?
Oopsie.
I could not get away with this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Lose a child in Wales. There's an investigation.
Yeah, there's a whole thing.
Going.
I mean, people are still talking about that John Benet Ramsey thing.
Right.
Like it's new.
Right.
And that shit happened how long ago?
Right.
I don't know. But the point is, a lot of things aren't taken into consideration. And I get it. We're supposed to ignore a lot of that one because it's supposed to be a fantasy world.
Yeah.
I get that.
Shut your brain off. Just watch.
But here's the problem. When you have a fantasy world, you're supposed to be engrossed in it because it's interesting, which it wasn't. It failed in that aspect. You're supposed to be intrigued with the story elements, which fails in that instance because it does good story elements poorly. It just shoves in a lot of cliches also, just for filler, I guess. And there is literally no payoff. You sat through that movie and you feel like we did. We wasted our damn time watching this film. Because there's no payoff.
None. It just ends. It's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, credits? Like, I felt like I would have been happier if the credits showed up earlier. I'm like, wow, you were kind of late to the party.
I know.
Like, where were you? It's like waiting at a friend's house who you just got in a fight with, and you're waiting for your mom. It's like, come on, hurry up.
Just looking up the clock. It's like, oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, in closing, I'd like to say this. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the concept they introduced. I'm not saying anything wrong with Tim Burton as a director, because I know that's been the thing for a while to where he's getting kind of a downward slope. He has his hits, he has his misses. I personally feel this was a miss, but that's only because, to me, basic things did not come together. I mean, sure, there's things that didn't make sense, like the boat, and the floating girl in the city, and nobody pays attention to her, or the whole thing that happened in Wales where, he's gone, and then the father has to explain this. Those things don't make sense. But even the elements in the movie, as you said before, it sets up rules that it doesn't even try to follow as far as time travel. And I know we're not really going to a lot of discussion on that. We don't have that kind of time. The point is, it just fails in that instance to come together as even a basic, coherent story. Because you start asking your questions like, what happened here? Why did this happen? That doesn't make sense. You ask yourself this a lot, and that's the sign of a bad story.
Yeah. Like, they introduce characters in the movie, and they put very big emphasis on these characters, and then they just disappear off the face of the movie, and they are never mentioned again. And you have no idea why they were there, or what they were supposed to be, or why you're supposed to care about them at all. Like there's this kid in the house who had his eyes sucked out, and they're like, oh, you don't want to introduce him to Jake. Like, you don't want Jake to see him because it'll scare him or something crappy like that.
Right.
And he sees him and then is like...
Yeah, he just stands up and he's like, you want to know how I died? And I'm like... So he basically uses weird-ass powers with the heart thing, with the teeny-tiny chicken hearts. Yeah. And he's like, here, let me just scare you real quick. What was the build-up for that? And the problem is, this happens... kind of often.
Yeah, and if it was just that, though, that would have been fine. I would have been like, okay, the guy's a dick. Whatever. We move on. Then they pay more emphasis on it whenever Mrs. Pettigrew comes in and starts hugging him. It's like, why? Who is he? Who is he compared to everyone else besides just a random person who had his eyes sucked out? Who is he and why should we care? And they never tell you.
Exactly. In some nation, that's our problem. Yeah. That's one of my biggest problems is they set up these situations which only leave you asking questions about why this is happening or what's the point. Maybe it's one of those things that I would have understood it more if I read the books, but I have a distinct feeling that wouldn't matter.
No.
It won't make that movie any better. But do you have anything to close with on that?
No, I think we said it all. Just this was unfortunately not one of Tim Burton's strongest movies. I mean, I was looking for X-Men meets Nanny McPhee, and I got more Nanny McPhee than X-Men. So
yeah, it's just bizarre, but just not. I guess I didn't even think it was that fun.
No,
the characters. I mean, yeah, some of the powers were cool, but
growing fruit or plants. Who fucking cares? Worst X-Men ever.
Worst. You were the worst X-Men. Somebody booted you off the generic ass X-Men team, like the Rejects. You know what I'm saying? Rejects, man.
Yes.
Is what you're part of. But for real, this was. You may enjoy it. I try to be positive about these things. I try really hard, but I don't. It's bad. I didn't like it, man.
Don't waste your money on it. I'm saying it outright. Don't waste your money. Just if you find it for free on demand, or somebody just gives it to you on the street because they're just so fucking tired of this movie, just watch it. Give it to someone else. Mm-hmm. Don't worry. Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Find something better to do. Yeah. That was horrible.
Oh, God, no. Just no. Okay. I think that about sums it, because there's literally nothing else I can say about this movie that won't sound like I'm just repeating myself. So, I'm Marcus.
I'm Dave.
And that is a wrap.
Laters.